Today, we're going to answer the age-old question that's plagued scholars since the dawn of time. Is Vegemite in fact the best hot dog condiment? So obviously, in order to make hot dogs, we're going to need to start by making hot dog buns. We're going to start by combining 12 grams of yeast, 8 grams of salt, and 4 grams of sugar, along with 560 ml of water. Stir to combine, and then we're going to let our yeast bloom for about 10 minutes. Once the yeast has done its thing, we're going to add 800 grams of baker's flour into our mixing bowl, along with half a teaspoon of baking soda. Then we're going to pour our yeast mixture into the bowl and mix to combine. I'm using a stand mixer here, but if you want to do this by hand, after you've mixed it into a shaggy dough, turn it onto a work surface and knead for about 15 minutes. After letting my mixed dough proof for about an hour, it's time to punch it down like a cat and then turn it out onto a floured work surface. Here I'm going to start stretching and folding the dough into itself. We're trying to build up our gluten structure here. After repeating this process for about 5 minutes, we're going to roll it into a tight ball and then put it back into the bowl for further proofing for about 45 minutes. At that point, our dough should have roughly doubled in size. We're going to turn it back out onto our board and then start shaping our buns. I'm going to start by dividing our dough into halves and then into quarters, and then begin to shape our rolls. I'm going to start by pressing the dough gently out into the size that I want, and then start rolling them into little cigar-shaped hot dog buns. I'm then going to place them into my baking dish with the lid on to let them do the final proof for about 45 minutes. While that's going, it's time to start on our Vegemite butter baste. I'm going to add about half a teaspoon of Vegemite to about a tablespoon of softened butter. Vegemite's pretty powerful stuff, so you don't need too much of it. Then once our hot dog buns have proofed and come up to the size that we want, I'm going to give them a generous basting. Then after baking for about half an hour at 200°C, we're going to have some gorgeous buns that we realise are way too flat for hot dog rolls. So we're going to repeat that entire process again, but this time instead we're going to use baguette trays. It also helped me realise that I used far too little Vegemite in the first batch, so this time I've turned it up to 11. And now that our golden Vegemite basted hot dog buns are ready, it's time to get cooking. So Vegemite is often maligned and rarely celebrated outside of Australia, but is its reputation deserved? I think no. As an Aussie, personally I love Vegemite, and if there's one thing I can't stand, it's people disrespecting my proud Australian culture of fermented yeast extracts. If there's one thing Aussies love more than Vegemite, it's beer. I don't think there's anything in Australia that can't be improved upon without the addition of beer. Barbecuing some sausages, beer. Barbecuing onions, beer. Making bread, beer. So in that proud Aussie tradition of improving things with beer, I'm going to add about half a cup, or let's say a cup. Okay, so I'm going to take half of our onions here and chuck them in our Vegemite and beer mix. And we're going to do a bit of a beer and Vegemite pickle. I'm going to fry up some capsicum here as well. I want this to be fairly thin sliced. Alright, so I'm also going to make a honey mustard Vegemite and beer sauce to go on top. Because as we all know, everything is improved with Vegemite and beer. So I only want a tiny bit of beer in here because we want it to be kind of pourable. Actually, I think I've already probably put too much in here, but that'll be fine. Alright, let's see what we're working with here. Now, I know you probably don't believe me, but that's bloody delicious actually. Vegemite works really good if you know what you're doing and you're working with the correct ratios. Use it sparingly, don't slather it on like it's Nutella. Okay, I'm also going to do something that you might consider a little bit heinous, So look away if you're squeamish. I'm gonna add a little bit of Vegemite to this leftover sriracha I've got here as well. Because it wouldn't be a Vegemite hot dog episode if everything didn't have Vegemite in it, right? So we'll shake this up, make sure it gets nice and incorporated. Vegemite is pretty, I don't even know how to describe the consistency. It's like tar. Soft but surprisingly hard to mix and spread. And it doesn't really melt that well either. Okay, I think what we've got going there is pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually try this. Dude, honestly, so good. And another thing, what's the deal with YouTube comments, am I right? I had some people in a recent video roast me in the comments about my lighting setup, saying that it was too dim and not bright enough. Honestly, I take offense to that. Look, upon revision, they were right. It was too dim, that's on me. But the point stands, it's the principle, all right? So of course, we're gonna put some bacon on one of our hot dogs here. And I've also got 2 really nice smoked Kranskis, which is gonna go great. So I kinda wanna dice up our bacon, fairly small, but not minuscule. I'm gonna gently score these Kranskis as well, more for aesthetics than anything, but it can help them to cook a bit more as well. I score them 10 out of 10. Alright, so we're gonna start off by frying off our capsicum and onions in our leftover Vegemite and butter paste from the hot dog rolls. So we want to go for a pretty low and slow here. I'm looking to get some real nice caramelization and colors. The butter and Vegemite will definitely going to help kind of speed that along. But we don't want to burn the Vegemite either, so I would recommend a medium-low heat for this type of thing. Take your time with it. There's no need to do everything on high. Don't rush it, just do a nice low and slow. We're almost kind of stewing and caramelizing these onions and capsicums out. So I'm gonna just let these guys go for a couple of minutes and just keep an eye on them, come back, stir them occasionally, give them a little bit of a turn. Alright, so it's been a couple of minutes. These are coming along nicely. So need a couple more minutes, I think, to get to where I want them to be. Give them a bit more of a stir. But what I'm also going to do is I'm going to kind of drain off, well, I guess separate these kind of fast pickled beer and Vegemite onions out of this bowl here. Trying to keep as much liquid as we can behind, because we're going to use this. Would this have been easier with a strainer? Yes. Is my strainer dirty? Also yes. So deal with it. Alright, cool. So we've got a really nice beer, Vegemite and onion broth here, and we're actually going to use this in our cooking. I want to try this. It's actually not as bad as you would think, to be honest. Not bad. The onion somehow mellowed the beer and the Vegemite out of it. Alright, so anyway, what we're going to do is I'm actually going to hit this with a splash of this mixture. About that much. And we're just going to infuse these with a little bit of that extra Vegemite beer and leftover onion sort of flavour. It's also going to help to deglaze the pan. And it'll help soften these up and get them to where I kind of want them to be as well. So we're going to continue simmering and stirring these on the same kind of medium-low heat that we've got. And once all of that moisture has evaporated, these are going to be perfect. So these are exactly where I want them to be. They've been caramelizing and reducing off for a couple of more minutes now. And we've got a deep caramelization, nice golden brown, and we've also got a really nice kind of soft stewed texture from adding that bit of liquid at the end there. So let's get these into a dish. It's important to separate your raw and cooked ingredients, obviously. Alright, so now that those are done, we're going to go in with our bacon and Kranskis. We're going to do these both at the same time. They're going to take a little... The bacon will cook a bit faster, but again, we're going to do these pretty low and slow like we did the onion and capsicums. I want the bacon to be quite crispy for this, so I don't mind if they cook a little bit longer. I think it's actually going to work out. Now, it's going to be pretty dry at first. You might be tempted to put some oil in here, but this bacon fat is going to render out, and it's going to end up pretty greasy. There's going to be some fat coming out of these Kranskis as well, so we're not going to really need to worry too much. I'm using a non-stick pan here as well, pretty good quality one, so we're not going to worry about sticking. This is going to be fine. So I'm going to move our cooked ingredients over here with our raw ingredients just to keep them separate from the cooking process. Don't want any sort of raw meat splashing around. Don't want to accidentally contaminate anything. Get yourself sick. It's not a way to go. Now, unlike with the capsicum and onion, where we added some of our liquid at the end, I'm going to do the opposite here. I'm actually going to add a bit of liquid at the start. A decent amount actually, more than I added. And we're going to actually gently stew the bacon and the Kranskis here in that beer and Vegemite liquid. So this is going to help the bacon to cook through better and also the Kranskis to cook through better. It's also going to kind of infuse that really rich, deep flavor that we're going for. Because, I mean, what's the point of doing Vegemite and beer hot dogs if we don't have any Vegemite and beer, am I right? So I'm actually going to reduce the heat here down to about low, like almost as low as this goes. I'm going to chuck a lid on and let that kind of gently simmer for a couple of minutes, checking it in between. So these have been steaming off for a few minutes now, and the room is starting to smell bloody amazing, I'll tell you what. So there's still a little bit of liquid here, as you can see. Actually just going to turn these Kranskis over, kind of move them a little bit more to the middle, so they're getting a little bit more of that direct heat. Because we're kind of steaming / poaching them, I guess, to start with, to get them kind of nice and cooked through, get them infused with that Vegemite and beer flavor. Then once the liquid has kind of boiled off, we're going to do our final fry and get them kind of crisped up a bit. So we'll leave that for a few more minutes, chuck the lid back on. Patience is the key here. It takes a little bit to get this right, but it's definitely worth it, trust me. Alright, so these are stewing along for about 10 minutes now. So I'm going to get the lid off and let's let the rest of this liquid start to evaporate. A bit of water does come out of the Kranskis and the bacon as well. So I'm going to actually get that heat back up to about, roughly about a medium low. I'm going to get that liquid to evaporate and we're going to start kind of frying off these ingredients. Alright, check it out. So the sugars in the bacon and the beer mixture are all starting to caramelize, getting a really nice, rich, deep kind of color here. Exactly what we wanted. Still a little bit of liquid here, so we want to go for a little bit longer. At this point, we just kind of want to start frying and searing off this stuff. Just get a little bit of crunch, a little bit of texture going, but they're well and truly cooked through. So this is going to be fucking amazing. Alright, check it out. So these are perfectly crisped up. Got some really nice caramelization and crunchy bits going, which is exactly what we wanted. There's a bit of oil that's come out of the bacon and the Kranskis there. We're not too worried about that. And I reckon it's time to plate up. So of course we're going to start with our Kranski. These rolls are evidently much too big for these, so I'm actually going to push these to the front. Just get a bit more of that YouTube flair. How about that? So one of these we're going to top with some of our onion and capsicum mix. Then we're going to go in with our bacon. For our caramelized bacon, onion and capsicum version, we're going to top it with some freshly grated cheddar cheese. And for our fresh tomato and onion version, I'm going to top it with some fresh shredded parmesan. Now you could stop there, but as every Australian instinctually knows from birth, everything is improved with fire, and there's never any negatives or downsides. And there you have it, my Aussie style Vegemite hot dogs. So now that we've been on this culinary journey, nay, an odyssey, I think that we can definitively confirm that Vegemite is in fact the best hot dog condiment, and by extension, Australia #1. And all that's left now is to give these bad boys a try. Oh yeah. Dude, so good. Anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna go and take these guys and finish them off. I've been Tammy, you've been awesome. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like my videos. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to see me do next time. Bye!